Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another video. Yes, I have been away for a while, but it has been a very busy season for me. So please forgive me for staying away for so long. So H&L Agro had a sale recently, and I had to run in and pick up a variety of orchids. And I'll be showing you what I got and how I'm going to pot them. If you are new to orchids, this video is perfect for you. If you are not so new to growing orchids, still give this video a thumbs up. Leave me a comment to let me know if you went to the sale and what you got. And let's get into the video. Welcome back, friends. So I have in my hand here a dendrobium orchid. It's called Dendrobium Gyra Green Frost, and I'm removing the dehydrated roots from the plant. It came mounted onto a piece of black plastic. I won't be removing the plastic from the plant. I won't be separating them, and I'm saturating the roots with a solution of hydrogen peroxide and Growphite, and I will be mounting this plant onto a piece of cedar. And I'm using cedar because it does not decompose quite easily, it doesn't rot, and it's a good material for you to use in terms of lumber whenever you're mounting orchids. And I'm using an 18-inch tie strap to mount the dendrobium onto the cedar. And this dendrobium, it's quite a beautiful plant. It's unique. The bloom, it's quite unique. It's different from the other dendrobium blooms. It has a creamish color with a tinge of orange in the center of the petal. So it's a very nice plant. Dendrobium Gyra Green Frost. So there it is, quite nicely mounted onto the piece of cedar, and I'm removing the excess tie strap from the plant. Next, I'm going to be removing the dehydrated roots from my two shade vandas. They didn't have much, or they don't have much dehydrated roots. Roots are quite healthy. And I should tell you too that I soaked all of these orchids in a solution of hydrogen peroxide and Growphite the day before I really potted them. But since it was the day after I did this soaking, I'm still saturating the plants to revive the roots, saturating them again with the hydrogen peroxide and Growphite. And these are two white shade vandas. One is a plain white and the other is a white with a tinge of greenish yellowish color. And I have decided to place both of these plants inside a wooden basket. This wooden basket was repurposed for this purpose. I had an orchid growing inside of it and the orchid died, and so I applied some spray paint to the basket to give it a fresh look. And I'm placing both of these shade vandas inside the wooden basket in order to save an extra wire hanger. The plastic baskets that they are in, it would have been too small for me to use a wire hanger with 4 sprongs to mount both orchids. I was unable to acquire or to find a 3-sprung wire hanger. I didn't want to use the 4-sprung on both of them, so I decided to use just one wire hanger on the wooden basket and to secure both shade vandas inside the basket. And again, I use a tie strap to secure the orchids inside the wooden basket. It's giving me a little challenge because I have to gently pull the roots through the slots in the basket. Don't want to damage the roots, so I have to gently pull the roots through. So it gave me a little challenge, but I eventually managed to secure both orchids inside the basket. So I conceived this idea at the last minute, because I'm saying to myself, why am I using 2 wire hangers on these small black baskets? I could just use one basket, wooden basket, and place both orchids inside of it. And I'm glad I thought of that idea, because I think they look really, really nice inside the wooden basket. It's a new concept for me, and I'm sure you'll like this concept, and this is something that you can try too at some point. And it saves an extra wire hanger. And sometimes, you know, when we have these orchids and they die, we can always repurpose the container. If it's even a basket or a nursery pot, we can always recycle them. We can give them a fresh coat of paint to revive the look. Yes, so always recycle. Sometimes it really turns out well. Because this is what I did with this basket. Just applied some spray paint to it and it's looking as good as new. So I'm almost done here with securing the 2 orchids inside the basket. Gave me a little challenge, but I managed to do it. And I'm now placing a parrot that I've had for many years. What I did was to give it a fresh coat of paint as well. And I've added it to the basket for beautification. And I'm also placing an air plant, saturating the roots, the entire plant I should say, with hydrogen peroxide and Growphite, and placing the air plant inside of the basket. And look at that. I'm so pleased with this new idea. I'm loving this. The parrot sitting quite nicely inside the basket, and also the air plant. Next, I have this beautiful cattleya orchid. It's a Rincolella cattleya that's called Juan Proper. RLC Juan Proper. And the plant is quite healthy. I've removed the dehydrated roots and I'm saturating the plants with my favorite solution, hydrogen peroxide and Growphite. And I'll be placing this cattleya orchid inside a plastic basket. I think it's a 6-inch plastic basket. And I placed some fern bark at the base of the basket, the bottom of the basket, and then I added some charcoal on top and some more of the tree fern chunks on top of the charcoal. And I inserted a tie strap, because this is what I'm going to be using to secure the cattleya orchid. And I should tell you that when you're placing a cattleya orchids, whether in a nursery pot or a basket, do not bury the plant inside the container. So you notice I've placed it right on top of the medium, and I'm going to be securing it firmly with the tie strap, because you don't want to have the plant moving around, because whenever you start to get your new roots, if the plants are moving, if plant is moving around in the container, say for instance it's windy and the breeze is blowing your container here and there, the plant is shifting, then that can damage the new roots. So I'm securing, in order to avoid that, I've secured it with the tie strap, and the plant is sitting on top of the medium. And I'm now adding some more tree fern, chunks of tree fern around the plant. And some more charcoal. So this plant is very, very healthy. It doesn't look as if it's a plant that is just being mounted. It looks as if it's an established plant. I think I made a good selection with this plant when I acquired it. And I'm now going to be using a wire hanger. I'm placing it onto the plastic basket in order for me to hang the plant. And I'll be placing these orchids in a cool spot in my garden until they start to give me roots, and then I'll start to acclimatize them. So it's quite simple. If you're a beginner, as I said, quite simple. It's not hard. Yes, there it is. Rincolella cattleya, Juan proper. I'm quite pleased at my purchases. Yes, plants are quite healthy. And this is another dendrobium that I just saturated with hydrogen peroxide, and I'm going to be placing this plant inside a nursery pot, which is another way how you can pot your orchid or your dendrobium. So I'm going to be putting in some gravel at the bottom of the pot, and then I'm now placing the orchid inside the pot, and I've placed a few small pieces of charcoal inside the container as well, and I'm adding more gravel now to the medium, and in order to secure the plant inside the pot. I didn't use a tie strap this time because the gravel... Yes, I did use a tie strap. Yes, I did use a tie strap to secure it because don't want it to be shifting, and it's quite a tall plant, and even though yes the gravel would have held it firmly somewhat, didn't want to take any chance with the wind because we have been experiencing some heavy winds these days. So there it is, and that's the name of the dendrobium. I'll be placing it on the screen for you to see the name. Next is these these sun vandas. And as you can see, I'm removing the dehydrated roots. Always remove these roots, guys. No sense in potting them, less stress for the plant. Make way for new roots. So I remove the dehydrated roots and saturating the plant with hydrogen peroxide and Growphite. And that cinnamon powder that I'm going to be applying to the base of the plant, or to the stem, the base of the stem, to avoid stem rot. And I'm placing now some gravel inside I'm using a nursery pot, placing some gravel inside of the nursery pot and place the plant inside. Then I'm going to be filling the cavity around the orchid with some pieces of charcoal and also a few pieces of fern bark. And some gravel. So I'll be filling up now with gravel. And the fern bark will add a little moisture to the roots that are inside the pot. So there it is, quite simple again, all nicely potted. Next is my little columnia. These orchids are so tiny, they're very tiny, but when they are in bloom, they can be quite a show. And I've placed it inside, it came in a little black basket, and I placed the basket with the plant inside a clay pot. This clay pot has holes, so it will have lots of drainage, because even though these plants don't like to be dried out for long, you still don't want to have their roots sitting in water. So I'm applying some finely chopped fern bark and pieces of what should I say now, orchid bark and small pieces of charcoal. So I'm using those to secure the orchid inside the clay pot. And the clay pot has a piece of wire on it, so I'll be hanging that in my garden, placing it in a cool spot. So there it is. Quite easy again. I didn't remove it from the black basket. I just placed it inside the clay pot and add the medium around it. This finely chopped tree fern and the charcoal and the orchid bark. So I am through potting all these orchids. I mounted a columnia, as you can see here. I mounted 2 of them, as a matter of fact, and placed the rest inside clay pots. I do hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know how you potted your orchids. If if you had a challenge potting them, if you potted them the same manner in which I did. And don't forget to like, share, and also subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. Until next time, stay precious and see you again in my next video.